the CDC are both saying that Ebola is spreading exponentially. That's the headline from NBC News. I'm Alex Jones reporting from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide. Our reporters are preparing to embark up to New York City to cover the 13th anniversary of the tragic 9/11 attacks that were used to transform our country from a free republic to a high-tech banana republic. Buckley Hammond will be reporting from Chicago in the third hour. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. New York City approved sensors to pinpoint gunfire. He's in Chicago showing the sculptures they've put up all over the city that have microphones in them, listening to people. And when the public complains, they go, oh, it's the gunshot detectors. You're not for guns, are you? They put microphones up in 1998 in Austin and called them gunshot detectors. Not one person's ever been arrested or prosecuted using them. It is a keyword NSA data hub with federal grants, just like the asset forfeiture seizure with police stealing money out of old ladies' purses and not arresting them because they've done nothing wrong. The feds have a law that the locals can get 70–80% of the money back if they do it under a federal program, federalizing police. And the Washington Post reported on that yesterday. There's the headline. New sensors will scoop up big data on Chicago. That was in June of this year in the Chicago Tribune. Now they're in the news this week going, we don't know what the mystery towers are and what these electronic devices are inside the sculptures. And they have the FBI on TV going, geez, we don't know. I mean, we don't spy on you without warrants. So even though we have all the federal purchase orders, we know exactly what it all does. We've had top NSA whistleblower William Binney, the director of intelligence, on the number 3 or number 4 position there. We know exactly what it is. It's like the sun comes up in the morning and we go, that's the sun, the big ball of gas we orbit. No, actually, the FBI says we don't know what that is. Okay. 2 + 2 = 5. So here's the AP article. New York City approves sensors to pinpoint gunfire. Gunshot microphones proven to capture conversations. We'll be talking to Buckley Hammond out of studios in Chicago today, coming up at about 1:30, and then we'll be playing his filed report that was filed in our system last night. He shot it yesterday. We have it from Chicago, and so that special investigative report will be airing coming up in the third hour, but Buckley will also join us from studios up there in Chicago today. So that is all coming up in the third hour today. James O'Keefe, the award-winning, hardcore, fearless, double tough journalist, to steal a line from the remake of True Grit, will be joining us coming up for 30 minutes at the start of the next hour. He, of course, got his team through right across Lake Erie into the United States, dresses as jihadi with big bags marked Ebola and ricin and other goodies. Speaking of that, Ebola is surging in places it had been beaten back. AP, Ebola virus outbreak. 4th Ebola patient lands in Atlanta. Not very smart. Ebola virus spread by taxi passengers, says World Health Organization. Area of animal to human Ebola risk bigger than study thought. AFP. U.S. Britain send troops to help fight Ebola in West Africa. U.S. Air Marshal in quarantine after syringe attack in Nigeria. That dovetails with this report. Virus hitting the U.S. could be tip of iceberg. CDC official says a respiratory virus is sending hundreds of children to hospitals throughout the Midwest and beyond. Health officials say the unusually high number of hospitalizations reported could be just the tip of the iceberg, says the virologist and directors of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Division of Viral Diseases.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done's been right.
It is surreal to watch CNN or MSNBC, NBC, CBS, you name it, and they'll have CIA analysts on there saying, ISIS is inside the U.S. and could hit us any minute, on or before 9/11. And opinion polls show a majority of Americans want to strike ISIS, want to take them out. And we're talking about an illegitimate government that openly, publicly in the last 4 years has given al-Qaeda new bases in Iraq, new bases in places like Syria, allowed them to take over Libya. It is so frustrating because I don't support ISIS. I hate ISIS. Horrible, barbaric people cutting children's heads off, blowing up churches. Scum of the earth. But now we're going to bomb them after giving them the weapons to do it? Where's the congressional investigation? Where is the hue and cry? The only way this can happen is dinosaur state-run media continues to play along with it, and there'll be headlines in AP or headlines in AFP where they'll say, oh, top general says we helped create ISIS, or general says we armed ISIS, or Pentagon admits that we're partly to blame for ISIS. Not partly to blame like you accidentally got water on the floor and somebody walked in your house and fell down and broke their neck. You didn't do it on purpose. It's not premeditated. You're still liable. No, this was done on purpose to turn these monsters loose all over the world. And now it's gotten so out of hand that we're told we've got to go back into Iraq and all these places to contain ISIS. It makes me literally want to throw up. And they've been arming the so-called moderate rebels the whole time. No, they've been giving the arms directly to ISIS, which is really al-Qaeda. Now, I'm done talking about that. There's a bunch of developments in the news today on that subject I'll get to later. It's just a paradox that I really have trouble dealing with, because I'm not mad at Rand Paul calling for larger strikes on ISIS. I actually agree with it at a gut level. But however Obama does this will end up only turning into evil somehow, because the globalists have a policy of destabilization worldwide and taking out regimes that are stable and regimes that actually want to work with the West, because there's no money in being friends with the Middle East. There's a lot of money putting a bunch of crazies in charge. And now Boehner refuses to say if Congress should authorize ISIS war. See, they're all passing on this hot potato around. Now, separately, while all that's going on, Zuckerberg pushes for total amnesty in a North American union, Breitbart reports, at billionaire Carlos Slim's charity event in Mexico. And, of course, Carlos Slim owns the New York Times and a bunch of other media and is a known mafia don and is lobbying for the end of our borders completely. It's all these billionaire scammers like Zuckerberg with his pump and dump who censors Facebook and only allows anti-gun groups and people to operate, to get up there and lobby constantly to end our borders, which they've already done by fiat without an executive order. And then to confuse the public, they have the media come out and say, Obama's been dealt a defeat. He's afraid in the midterm elections in the Senate to legalize the illegals with an executive order. Plus, it's unconstitutional. He's already done it. They've got deportations back to 3 to 5 years. They're not even having the deportation hearings for at least 3 to 4 years. It's a total fraud. The Republican leadership is involved in this. There's big studies out today saying that there's going to be a huge Republican wave, probably taking the Senate. The House will remain Republican. And the only hope the Democrats have is Hillary. And they admit, because it's the novelty that she's a woman. Notice the Democrats attacked Sarah Palin with the whole line that she was stupid. The stereotype they were pushing that women are dumb or that women are ditzy. But with Hillary, oh, she's so smart. Oh, yeah, like a barracuda. oh, women are finally going to be in charge. A warmongering criminal who's made hundreds of millions of dollars off speaking fees and fake charities. I mean, can we get rid of the Clintons? I mean, I don't want Jeb Bush to run. I don't want another Bush. The issue here, though, is it's another stunt, jingoism. And, of course, it's not like we just don't have a Democratic problem with Hillary Clinton. We have John Boehner and the Republican senators and the Republican House leaders who helped write Obamacare, who helped write the amnesty plan, who were bought and paid for by the Zuckerbergs and the David Rockefellers and the Carlos Slims and all the usual Warren Buffett suspects. They want a North American union. They want to exploit workers. They want to drive down wages. They've gotten the unions the last 15 years to go along with the expansion of NAFTA and GATT, the North American Union, to literally destroy their workers' future. I saw a Forbes article yesterday admitting that the new Detroit is Mexico. And, of course, you get paid $3 an hour instead of $25 an hour. And it's all done to shut this country down. Look at this Forbes headline. Is Mexican billionaire Carlos Slim the new role model for Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg? Is the Easter Bunny our friend? Is Santa Claus helpful? I mean, it's just all ridiculous as they build up Zuckerberg, who went to Bilderberg 3-4 years ago, to cement the major mafia don green lighting of running the Facebook pump and dump stock offering. It's just all a bunch of pump and dumping, money laundering, globalist kingpins exempt from everything, just trying to wreck the middle class, laughing at us. Remember Zuckerberg famously said, oh my gosh, our users trust us, what a bunch of dumb effers. While being on TV, trust me, we don't sell your data, we don't use it. It's a CIA-engineered, Harvard-run psych warfare operation to start revolutions, to control revolutions, to wreck society. People ask, why are you on Facebook? Because fans 5 years ago or whatever it was started more than 50 Facebooks, and we took them over. We got about 10 of them that we kept. We consolidated the others. We've got over 3 million likers or whatever you call it. Sure, we use the enemy platform, but don't think for a minute we ever depend on it. Don't think for a minute we ever expect it to be there tomorrow after we've been censored time and time again. And again, Facebook and YouTube and all these groups operate like, oh, it's a public commons, bring your content here and just follow these rules. But then you follow the rules and they kick you off. By the way, Google is much better than Twitter and Facebook when it comes to censoring. Because Google's smart. They want to be the biggest open area because that will give them global domination. So you've got a lot of these big internet conglomerates as well battling with each other for supremacy. And within that natural separation of powers, like we see in government, we have some of the wiggle room to allow basic free press to develop and grow. But it's precious. It's like I have a saltwater tank and, you know, you put inexpensive baby corals in there, but not all of them take. They need to get established and rooted, and they're doing well before they grow. And it's the same thing with the new media. We are giving the globalists a run for their money. They're trying to suppress us, trying to game the internet, trying to bring in internet kill switches and taxation grids, but we're fighting a lot of it back together. That's why the whole world's hooked into the web now. It is a giant surveillance grid. That's why we have to double down and take it over with our individual actions, with the decisions we make online, with where we spend our money, who we support, who we promote, to create a mass cascading event that could cause a new renaissance. And the other option is total slavery to the technocrats. So we better believe we can change things. And we have changed things. We've had a lot of victories. This is a fluid, ongoing battle by a lot of other interests. You've got the globalists trying to control and manipulate all these different interests towards their global governance, which has a very bad end game, global population force reduction. All the stuff we've seen so far is just the toying with it, the tinkering, the beta testing. We're entering the end game. We're entering the globalist attempt to transcend humanity, merging with machines, becoming gods, and then expunging the earth of the disease they call humanity. I would talk about that 18, 19, 20 years ago on air. It is now 20 years. It'll be 20 years in just a few days. Like, I ought to try to remember the exact date. I have to go back and look it up. I know it was at the end of 1995. That'll be 20 years, won't it? Or is that 19? I guess I say 20 because I was doing radio interviews and stuff in 94. So there isn't really any set date. It's been about 20 years. 22 years I've been politically active. I don't know. I've been politically active since I'm 19. I'm 40. Doesn't matter. We're going to come back, get into all the news, get into the latest on Ebola and the other mystery virus inside the U.S. More Ebola patients coming to Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to get into Scottish independence and what it means to the Transylvanian royal family, the House of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. You know it as Windsor.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at Infowars.com/show.
Coming up at the bottom of the third hour today, we're going to air a special report that Buckley Hammond traveled to Chicago, one of our news producers, to investigate. And he'll also be joining us live on the air remotely to discuss the piece. And we were planning to air it today when he shot it yesterday. He finished the report last night and remotely sent it to us. But New York City approves sensors to pinpoint gunfire, gunshot microphones proven to capture conversations, Associated Press. See, how do you put up microphones to listen to people with computer software that they use on the telephones to record the conversations, to voice print them, and to track you by individual name in something that, again, makes 1984 look like a free system compared to what they're setting up here? You call it a gunshot detector. You turn the schools into little snitch prisons in the name of keeping kids safe from guns, even though statistically only 60-something children under the age of 18 get killed a year in school shootings. It was 67 in 2013. But there's still that perception. Almost everyone I've ever known, unless they're scuba divers or snorkeling enthusiasts, are afraid to go into deep water or afraid to... People will climb back in boats if they see some 6-foot-long fish. Or, God forbid, they actually see a nurse shark. And a nurse shark's harmless. I'm going to be swimming over to the nurse shark, trying to feed it or something, and just because I know it's harmless. If I saw a sand shark, I'd go over to it. 5 people a year die from great white attacks, maybe another 15 from all other attacks combined. 20 is the global average for shark deaths per year. Well, one has taken place. Bloomberg. And again, I dovetail this with the guns. Counting the suicides and everything, it's like 12,000 people a year out of 320 million. Last time I checked, it's like something like 70,000 people fall and die in their bathrooms every year. 100,000+, and it's in the World Almanac, die from drowning every year. I mean, it's crazy. Going to ban swimming? The world's a dangerous place. Hundreds of thousands from automobiles. 200+ from honeybees. 200+ from wasp. 300+ from deer. Jumping in front of cars. Going to ban deer? Going to have TSA checking on the side of the highway to stop the deer because they might jump out in front of you? Going to ban driving at night? I've hit deer at night. Almost everybody I know, Buckley Hammond, my cousin coming up, was driving out to see family in Fredericksburg years ago. Deer jumped out in front of him, totaled his truck, flipped it off into a ditch, going 70 miles an hour, hitting multiple deer. Going to ban driving at night? Shark mauls man's leg in fatal attack off Byron Bay Surf Beach. A shark mauled a man to death at one of Australia's most popular tourist spots, prompting authorities to close down the beach. Officers and paramedics were called to Main Beach in Byron Bay after the man, believed to be in his 40s, was bitten on his right leg, police said in a statement. He was seen floating in shallow water. See, the great white thought he was something else, took a bite, didn't like the flavor, kicked the guy back out, and he bled to death pretty quick. He was seen floating in shallow water close to shore and dragged on the beach, where he was pronounced dead a short time later. Probably made it most of the way back. There have been 170 fatal shark attacks in the past 100 years in Australia. Yeah, most of them are in Australia. According to researchers at Sydney's Targano Zoo, Channel 9 television showed footage of an estimated 2-meter-long shark off the beach not long after today's attack. It's only 6 feet long. Might have been something else. It's north of Sydney, 500 miles where this happened. Now, cigarettes are estimated to kill over 300,000 people a year. And that's with the numbers down in smoking. It used to be like 500,000. But see, it's not scary. It doesn't have a little fin on it going dun 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 dun. All I'm saying is this is an example of how the media can take things that aren't really a threat statistically and make it be the most scary thing in the world. Guns, sharks, oh my gosh. Kind of like this Ray Rice thing. You would think this guy was Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm not defending what he did. Everybody gets to swell up and be all upset about it now. I'm going to talk about that when we come back. This is an example of mind control. I've always likened the war on terror's hyping of al-Qaeda terrorists to be like great white sharks. An extremely rare attack, most of it provocateur, most of it staged, most of it manufactured. But now they have created the mother of all jihadi wonderlands in Syria and Iraq and turned over this area and oil fields with weapons to al-Qaeda to bring down the Middle East in flames. And then our government that armed them is now acting like it's going to bomb them. That's mainly because the public got upset about ISIS and said, don't attack Syria last year. Don't aid al-Qaeda in taking over Syria. So they changed the name to ISIS. And still the public is saying, we want them taken out. We were taught to hate al-Qaeda. We were taught how bad they were. We know ISIS is al-Qaeda. So the warmongering nature of the United States is now, in a way, being put to good. Because if you've got some just big, giant ogre creature that goes around attacking its enemies, occasionally a blind hog could find acorns. Broken clocks are right twice a day. The problem is the same evil government will direct our military and probably bomb innocent people or probably go after targets that aren't even al-Qaeda. So there's no way, and I understand Lew Rockwell's perspective, to actually do any good because the intent of the people controlling our civilization is bad, and they will always take our good intentions and twist them into something else. Here's an example. You've got hundreds of trillions of dollars of derivatives that our government has signed us onto that are not our debts. Most of it for foreign banks. Most of the banker bailout money over the years, trillions, has gone to private individuals. Has gone to people like John Corzine, the former head of Goldman Sachs. There are huge crimes being committed. There are major banks caught laundering drug money that don't get in trouble. There are all sorts of government-controlled prostitution rings of underage people that continue to get exposed. Major government groups caught shipping in heroin, cocaine. It goes on and on and on. Even Time Magazine admits that derivatives are the #1 threat to the global economy. Major governments, there's more than 15 of them, with nuclear weapons, are the #1 threat to life on this planet, not asteroids. Asteroids that destroy civilizations may come around every few 100,000 years, they think. You really think that we're going to have nuclear weapons for hundreds of thousands of years and not use them? There's Daily Finance, 1.2 quadrillion derivatives market, dwarfs world GDP. That's from 2010. It's now, I keep saying 1.5 quadrille. That's a number from 2011. I looked it up last week. It's 2.1 estimated by the UN itself. 2.1 quadrillion. That's 2,000 trillion. 2,100 trillion. But who's counting? 100 trillion here, 100 trillion there, dropping the bucket. Or as George Herbert Walker Bush said, billion here, billion there. Pretty soon you're talking about money. Now it's trillion here, trillion there. This is Zimbabwe, folks. This is Weimar Republic, but it's got nuclear weapons backing it up, so everyone keeps taking it and keeps accepting it. I'm not trying to come on the air and be alarmist. I personally am having a lot of anxiety. I personally am upset about where civilization's going. I personally want to have grandkids. I have children. I personally like life. I personally like wildlife. I personally like this planet. I personally have goodwill. And with all of this stuff going on with Ukraine and Syria and Iraq and even NBC News admitting Obamacare is hitting and crippling small businesses. It was written to do that. Obamacare's bill for small businesses, big bucks, fewer jobs. That's what it does. Alex Jones here for Infowars.com. We're going to be intensifying our efforts to awaken free humanity to the scourge of the globalist in the month of July. And starting this July 4th, we are going to slash prices in a celebration of true Americana, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence on all of the Made in America products that you will find at madein1776.com or InfoWarsStore.com. We're talking about Made in America belt buckles in brass and nickeled brass that state it loud and proud. Molon Labe. That's why we have the best-selling Made in America men's and women's Molon Labe Infowars.com shirts. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a win-win. You vote with your dollars. You support the most hardcore organization out there for promoting true ideas of libertarianism, constitutionalism, basic human empowerment. But more importantly, you get T-shirts and belt buckles so you can meet like-minded people. So you have a conversation starter with friends and family and coworkers. We are reaching out to each other. And you also throw it in the face of the anti-gunners and the rest of the parasites out there that you're a free man and woman, and that you're not going to be a slave, that you're not going to be intimidated to shut up by their tyranny that they call political correctness. That's why in the month of July, we have got giant specials on everything at madein1776.com. But to expand the InfoWar, we're offering the biggest special in the history, 13 years of PrisonPlanet.tv, our multimedia platform. We're offering the equivalent of more than 5 months free right now when you get a membership at PrisonPlanet.tv, and you get 11 memberships that can be used with the same username and passcode so you can share it with friends and family. Now is the time to fund the war bonds. Now is the time to fund the InfoWar. Now is the time to get aggressive. Now is the time to double down. Now is the time to realize you are the people that made the InfoWar so successful and one of the leading lights worldwide against tyranny. You don't stand behind us, you stand right beside us. And I salute all of you on this July 4th, 2014, and going forward in the month of July and onward. This is about freedom worldwide and that desire for human dignity and self-determination that beats in the human breast. We are brothers and sisters together in the true spirit of liberty and the animating contest of liberty. And so I quote in closing the great Thomas Jefferson that I have sworn on the altar of God resistance against every form of tyranny. And never forget, if you are watching or listening to this transmission, you are the resistance.